Generation Rebirth podcast. I'm your host, I'm Fitz.
And I'm Donette.
Today we have a very important topic to discuss. We have two beautiful ladies here, single mom, and they're here to talk about their children. We have Stacy Thomas and Michelle Clark here with us. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hi.
It's good to have you. Good. How's it going so far? How's COVID treating you guys?
It's a little bit different. Being at home all the time, it allowed us to really connect on a different level with a teenager because he's stuck at home. He has nobody else to talk to but me. So, it has been a little bit different. Comes with its own challenges, working from home, him going to school from home. It has a lot of advantages, but a lot of disadvantages, right? That interaction that we need with people is not there, but it allows us as a unit to interact a little bit more closely, and we are able to really connect at a more critical time in his life, right? When you're able to provide a little more insight, a little more influence, because now he's being influenced by you and not necessarily by his peers because, hey, they're not there, right? So you have a little bit more influence at the time when I think it's really, really critical in his development.
Very good. Yeah, our family, we have that same thing too. It's good because we are able to sit around the dinner table and discuss things that normally we wouldn't do.
Get out,
We wouldn't have
right,
the
right.
time to do
Do
it.
it, right.
So, great. What I'd like to know, and we want you to set the scene for us. We're going to start with you, Stacy, because you have 4 children, and 2 of them are now in college. One is in university, the other one is in college, right?
Correct.
And I would like to know, how do you handle single parenting and doing so well?
Okay, that's a great question. So thank you, Fitz, for asking that, and thank you for inviting me here. Yes, that's correct. 4. I got 4 children. So I would say that number one, in general, just the topic of single parent or single mother, it's difficult. Like, I never really related to that title per se because I am a divorced mom, and the children do have a relationship with their father. He does financially support them. He's just not physically in the home. So in terms of, the every day-to-day Ubering them here and there, doing the homework, that kind of stuff, yes, that falls all on my shoulders, but I would consider myself more of an independent mom. So that's more of the title that I look at as an independent mother, which, of course, anything that you're doing by yourself does have challenges, right? Because it's you alone. So if someone's sick, you're the one that has to stay home from work. There's not that other person who you can say, oh, go pick up the child, this and that. No, you're the one that has to stay home. So everything does fall on your shoulders. All the bills, all the responsibilities, making sure. Sometimes, you do get tired of adulting because you have to make sure the mortgage is paid. You have to make sure the lights remain on. There's food in the cupboard for the children. So yes, in terms of that, being responsible for everything is a challenge, but it's all, we give God the glory. It's everything. We always look to Him. So any times of discouragement or trouble, it's all God. It's only God that gives me my strength.
Yes. Very good. Very good. How about you, Michelle?
I have one, and which it is challenging because my one sometimes feel like 4, right?
Yes, I was gonna say.
And he's 21. And like Stacy, I wouldn't consider myself to be a single mom per se, because I have a lot of support. And his dad is very critical and still important in his life. I am divorced, and we got divorced when he was around 9, 10 years old. but I think one of the reasons why I have managed to, you know, to develop a well-rounded child who is very focused and very intentional in what he does is that his dad and I made a conscious decision that we would always put him first.
Right. He's also in university, right?
He's also in university,
Okay,
yes. He is hoping to pursue his career in medicine. So fingers and he will do very well because he's focused. But his dad and I agreed at the onset that we would put him first in all the decisions that we make, irrespective of how it would be, the impact it would have for us. So that created a lot of emotional trauma and stress because his dad moved on with his life shortly after we got divorced. And not being able to show those emotions or express how you feel about those things to him came with a lot of challenges, right? Because we are multidimensional people, right? We have feelings, we have plans, we have dreams, we have all hopes, and all of that just got shattered when you got divorced. That's just the reality.
Yes.
But you had to find a way to pick up the pieces. And I think that just keeping him at the center and ensuring that whatever decisions we made was always in his best interest, that allowed both of us to co-parent in some kind of way where it was mutually respectful, right? So he never lost respect for me as a mom, and he never lost respect for his dad as a dad.
Great.
Right? So being able to do that, when he was not at home with me, and he was with his dad was able to provide positive influences, right? And then when he's home with me, the same, right? So just being aware at all times that, the child is always first.
Yes.
Whatever decisions you're going to be making, it has to be with them in mind and always at the center. And because they need to feel that they are important, even as an individual outside of the unit, right? So I think just that alone, I think just ensuring that, we maintain separate lives, and his dad was always there financially and, to take care of that. But
So you get the help.
you
guys
get the
need.
help. You do get the help, and it does take a village to raise a child. I had good support in terms of
Yes.
friends and family, but as Stacey said, the day to day,
Yeah.
that is where it really draws you, right? It really pulls on you.
It is said that men are not very good at multitasking.
No, they're not.
No, I'd like to know, Stacey, is this extreme multitasking with 4 children, and not only 4 children, but your personal life and needs as well?
And different age group with the kids.
Yes, for sure.
Wow,
That is an
challenging.
awesome question.
Yes.
Because my twins are 19, going to be 20 next month. I have a 13-year-old daughter, so we're just entering into this teen phase. And then I also have a 10-year-old son.
Wow.
So, in general, girls do come with a lot of emotional, different needs, ups and downs and swings. There's a lot of estrogen in the home. So I'm definitely happy for Noah. He just kind of cuts that right in half there, right? But in terms of multitasking, I definitely sometimes do feel like I'm burning the candle at both ends.
Yes.
I definitely sometimes feel like I'm Martha, right? Just running around, like spinning with my head cut off, just trying to get everything done. It's always, let's go, keep it moving. But once again, you just you have to do what you have to do, right? So it all just works out for itself. It all has to get done. And then when it is too much, same thing. You just have to look to God. That's at the end of the day, that is the rock. That's a
Yeah.
solid foundation.
That's
There really is.
go-to person.
Yeah, there really is no other. I can say yes, like a village, like I have my mother who helps. I have my aunt who can help me. I have friends who I can talk to, but at the end of the day, it's
boils
all
down to
God.
you.
Yes,
And God.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes, yes. So I wanted to ask this because a lot of times, like the kids, their dad isn't there, and they're asking question. And I know some parents they're so angry they poison the kids, and so the kids now may want to feel that they're part of the breakup and so on. How do you guys handle that? Do they ask questions about their dad and what happened? How do you respond to that? Both of you, one at a time.
Okay, well, for myself, I have, I guess, a double situation, right? So all my daughters are from my ex-husband, but
Yes.
my son is
Yes.
not, right?
Okay.
So he does ask, even when he was younger, I always would, so he didn't feel left out or anything. If his father didn't buy Christmas gifts, I would buy it and put his name on it,
Right,
say
right.
from daddy. I would
Okay.
make sure, because for me, my main concern is for him
Yeah.
to know that he's loved,
Yes.
right? So
And he's part of the
yes,
family.
exactly. Always speaking positive about the other parent and always trying to reach out, even if, people go through different things in their life. So even at that point in his particular life, that he wasn't able to contribute or participate, now it's changed.
Yes,
He's been with him for a little bit. So
Yes.
now it's changed that he can get that relationship with his father. But
Right.
sometimes it's not there. Sometimes the other parent doesn't even want to be involved, right?
Yes.
So that's a situation where the kids do have difficulty sometimes with accepting that. And
Yes.
Yes. Michelle.
Like Stace, I think for me, we got divorced when he was around 9 or 10, and we had a pretty amicable divorce, I must say. And when he asked questions, I tried not to. I tried my hardest not to poison his mind against his dad.
Yes.
And I didn't provide much details
Yes.
at the time because he wasn't able to process those
Yeah.
adult emotions, right? As he grew older, it was obvious, right? Because we just are two totally different persons, right? But he has a great dad, just not the right husband for me. Right? And as my son has grown older, he's able to see that and understand that. Right? So he's able to process the breakup a little bit more so now than when he was much younger.
Yes.
And I think just deliberately not speaking anything negatively about the other party, and I think his dad did the same too, right? It allowed him to be a little bit more balanced, he's not angry, he's just a bitter kid,
Right.
right? And then his dad being able to move on, I'm moving on with my life too, right? So there is not that anger and that bitterness that normally comes with divorced parents or single parenting, right? So for me, and then I became a Christian after I got divorced. And I think that for the most part, well, not for the most part, for all intents and purposes, is what took me through that divorce,
Yes. Yes.
right? Because for me, I got married. My ex-husband and I started dating pretty young, right? And that was half of my life, 14, 15 years. And just being separated after being new to Canada was just a very traumatic period. And then you had other things happening in your life also, right? But I think the good thing that came out of that, and I tell my ex-husband thank you all the time, is that I found Christ,
Yes.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
That is when I really found Christ. I mean, we've always grown up in a Christian background, but when that relationship was really developed and nurtured was during my divorce and during that time of single parenting, right? In the sense that because even though you have supported daily tasks
Yes.
of just doing the activities and the grocery store and the two jobs and the, just managing daily life, right, was really challenging. And then for me, because I am a professional, I was also studying, right? So just taking care of him first and then studying in the nights, right? You really had to draw upon strength that was beyond your personal strength that you had. And when you look back, I can say it's just God's grace. It
Yes.
really, really is just God's grace because I don't know how I could have done that in my own strength. It's just not possible.
Yes.
Yes,
True,
yes.
very true.
The part that you said that you studied, I just want the audience to know that both of you are business people, and you are a successful businesswoman, I gather. So, talk to us a little bit about that, and then you, Stacy.
God has really blessed me. I really must say I am blessed beyond measure. When I came to Canada, I had done ACC. I'm an accountant by profession. And I had completed ACCA back home. But of course, when you come, you need Canadian experience. So that meant going back to school and getting my, my CPA designation, which I did. I was blessed and fortunate that when I came to Canada, I came into a relatively good job, working with one of the medical farmers, the big ones, and that really enabled me to accomplish so much in a very short time, right? Having a stable employment, stable income. And, it was a good company that I worked with that really allowed me to have a little flexibility to really parent properly, right? A lot of people aren't as blessed as I was from that perspective, having that stable job. But being a professional, it allows you a lot more options than the person who is not professionally trained, right? So my education and my background has allowed me to grow and to develop and to really influence the decisions that my child has made and is making, right? So, and also just your personal development too, right? So the choices that you make is different from somebody who is not as learned, right?
Right. So you didn't just go about hanging down your head because
No.
you are a single,
No, no.
and just say, and throw your hands up in
And
the
say,
air
"What am I
and says,
gonna do now?"
whatever happens, happens. You just didn't do that.
No,
You move on with your life.
You have to. You
Yes.
have to because you are not only living for yourself, and that is one of the things that I've always implored to my son: to whom much is given, much is expected. Right? That he'll tell you that all the time, right? And because I was so blessed, it is important for me to use my blessings and use my gifts, right? And it's also important for me to show him that hard work does pay off.
That's right.
And it's not just saying it, but doing it. So he sees me living and getting engaged in different activities outside of work because, we are multidimensional people, right?
Yes.
And we really, if you are blessed, it is expected for you to give back.
Right.
right? So I volunteer, I get involved in activities outside of work and outside of school because it's a part of who we are. And he does that too because it is important. It is important for you to give back in whatever small way you can. He might not be able to give back financially right now, but because he has learned that seeing me doing it, growing him up, it is expected that when he gets to a position where he can give financially, right now it's just his time, his knowledge, he does.
Right.
Right? So it's very important.
Okay. Stacy.
Yes. So the question was again, yeah, in terms of working, yeah, working a full-time job, and of course, parenting full-time is definitely challenging. I actually worked for a very huge retail company. I worked for the head office I've been with the company for about 25 years.
Wow.
And now with the COVID, right, they've gone bankrupt. Right? So what do you do? Right? What do you do? You got to have multiple sources of income. So that's why I'm so happy that I'm a part of a campaign now for financial literacy. Right? So our goal is to educate 30 million people by 2030. And it's just an awesome, awesome platform. It's totally changed my entire legacy of my family. So I am very, very happy to be involved in that now. And it's just that, God just works out things in the way he needs to for his good. Because if I didn't have that, I don't know what I would be doing, right? So,
I do appreciate the fact that, and I know a lot of young women are so dependent. So when the man leaves, or if they have they're just dead. They fall apart. They fall apart, and everything just stops. Like life stop, happiness stop, child rearing stop, everything stops. So. Can you guys speak on that? What would you say to them if they're in a situation where they have become single parents? And I know a lot of them also, not only by divorce, they keep having different kids and still can't hit the goal of being a strong woman to make their way and become so independent that they can raise their children without falling flat. Can you speak on that? Can you have some encouragement for some women who feel that I'm a single mother now, so I'm just going to lock the door and stay inside? So,
it's important how you view yourself. We are all individuals,
Yes.
and your husband or a man doesn't complete who you are. It is important for us as women to recognize that while partnership is important and it does bring synergies, we as units we can
yes.
be successful being a single parent. It is not the ideal by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not the be all, it's not the end all. Life
Yes.
continues. And it is important that you demonstrate that to your children, because that is how you end the cycle,
Yes,
right?
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Because I have a son, and I would like for him, when he is choosing his partner, that he is going to choose a partner who is strong, who is not going to crumble when when the pressures of life hits,
Hits,
and
yeah.
it will come. There is no if, but, or suppose. It is going to come.
It will come.
It's
yes.
not. It might not come in the form of being divorced. It's going to
Right.
come in another form.
Yes.
exactly.
And you need to have someone, or when you're choosing your partner, that should, when when life happens, they can still function,
Yes.
Yes.
right? And there are certain values that you must have to enable you to still function should you lose a partner, lose a family member, lose your job. I mean, there are so many just so many eventualities in life that you have to be able to pick up those pieces and move on. And I think one of the most, well, perhaps the most important thing is that you have to have Christ at the center of your life. I cannot underestimate that
Yes.
because when everything else fails,
Yes, we won't. Yeah.
He will never, ever, ever leave you.
We'll find a way.
And
Exactly.
you need that center. You also need to have a good, solid foundation in terms of an educational background. Like education is the big, great equalizer. And you don't really have to know early in life what you want to do, but you have to have that foundation. And I think, too, you have to have certain critical life skills that is going to enable you to function in this life. When I say life skills, I'm speaking to just knowing how to take care of yourself, how to cook, how to wash,
So
how to
important.
clean, how to just move around on the bus, how to how to just do basic things. You'd be very, very surprised
Yes.
how many teenagers are just clueless.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you have to be intentional in teaching your
Values.
children these values and teaching them early,
Yeah.
right? So it becomes a part of who they are because it will take them a long way. And your attitude will always determine your altitude every single time, right? And you cannot be feeling as if you are being the victim at all times, right? You have the power to change your life. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to what happens to you, right?
Yes.
Nobody is going to do that for you. And I think if you instill those things in the simple things that you do in your life, and your children see you live it, and
Yes,
it becomes a part
They'll
of who
copy
they
it,
are.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So I think those things are really important.
Yeah. Stacy, where do you get the physical and emotional strength to because I know that there are times when it becomes so overwhelming, the situations. This child is coming, that one is coming, the other one is coming, and all of them coming at the same time. Plus, you have your own needs. Where do you get the physical and emotional strength to deal with that?
Brother Fitz, that is a great question. Actually, maybe a few years ago, I actually went through a season of illnesses, injuries, accidents. It was back to back to back. So even in terms of physical, like physical strength, there was a time when I couldn't physically even get out of bed, right? So it's a really good question, and I know we bring it back again. My strength comes from the Lord. That's it. Because in terms of like even emotionally, right? I'm in general a happy-go-lucky person, but everybody gets down sometimes, right?
Sure,
It's all a mindset, right? Everybody goes through some mental health issues, regardless if they want to admit it or not. It could be suppressed, or it could be just that it just manifests itself right there, or it manifests itself in the terms of an illness within your body, right? Because I'm usually very calm, cool, and collected, but I realized that I was keeping things inside, and that manifests itself in the form of high blood pressure. Manifests in the form of itself is always getting sprains or strains or different things. It manifests itself in the form of a migraine that was extremely rare. They call it stroke-like migraine. So yeah, there was a time when I couldn't see, couldn't speak, my whole right side, I couldn't move, right? So it will manifest itself in different ways if you don't address it, right?
Yes.
So I learned certain coping skills in terms of, being able to say no sometimes to people, being able to say, you know what, let me think about that. Let me wait. Can I get back to you?
That's
right.
right.
So like,
Yes.
and let me look back and see, okay, John wants this from me. Susan wants this from me. Sam wants this from me. Can I really do what Brother Fit wants as well? Let me think about it. Give myself that 24 hours.
Yeah.
Because I was very much that person who wants to, make everybody happy and please, so I would be yes, 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 and be overwhelmed then, right? And also in terms of, there's so many things in terms of each child's needs, right? There's 4 of them. So someone needs something with their school. Someone needs, a drop to work. Somebody is having trouble with, they're not feeling well today.
Yes.
Another one, So definitely there's a lot, sorry, there's a lot coming at you. And once again, at the end of the day, it's only God. Because to be honest, like, there's no other option. Like, within my own strength, even if I wanted to, I couldn't. I have to look to him, right? That is where my strength comes from. And my main focus is my mommy ministry, right? So making sure that each and every one of my children have their own personal relationship with God, right? So, Michelle and we could be sisters, because I too, even though I was going to church, like I was born in the Church of God, right? Like my grandmother, my mom, like, but I wasn't a Christian. I didn't understand. I was just like, my grandmother is saved, so yeah, I'm saved off of her, right? I didn't know until later on in life, after my divorce, once again, when you're right down on your knees is where you realize, wow, this is what it's all about, my own personal relationship with the Lord, right? So as well, I was a late Christian, and I also believe that, you know, it just happens in your life when it needs to. So all those years just going to church, I was always in Praise Cathedral, going to church. It's stuck. It's stuck in, right? And that's what I want to do for my children. So my mommy ministry is my main number one thing, and then my side hustle is my money ministry. So making sure we're all good stewards of our money, and
exactly. Yes,
That's a good balance.
That's very important. Being a good steward for your money.
finances for sure.
Yes. Michelle,
The question was,
where do you get the strength?
where do you get the strength? My strength comes from the Lord. I think for me, I was blessed in that my son went to his dad almost every weekend during the earlier part of our divorce. It was very difficult because, you know, it's the only child, so we're very attached. We're very close. And him having to go to his dad every weekend, it gave me time for me, right? So it gave me time to de-stress and to just focus on me. So I was very blessed where that is concerned.
I did not get that time.
So
I did not get that time.
I was going to ask you that.
Not a minute.
no, it was very, very important. And then I also learned pretty early that the more self-sufficient he became, the less he would depend on me, right? So those life skills I spoke about earlier, those he started having to use very early, right? So looking after his own lunch, doing his own laundry, doing his own. As soon as he was able to take the bus, he was, that took a lot of the pressure off me, and. Because when he started doing those things, I had to invest the time to ensure that he knew what he was doing. And then once he developed the confidence over time that he was able to move from point A to point B, then you were able to kind of just allow him to just let go, right? Till he get to when he was around 14, 15. You weren't monitoring, you weren't hovering as much because you knew he knew how to do basic things, so and
let go.
I started letting go pretty early, because he had to learn early how to function on his own. Because I am trying to develop and grow a child or a man who is going to be able to function without me if needs be. Right? Or to function without his partner should needs be, right? And he needs to know what that looks like, right? But it is challenging, just being able to multitask like that and just being able to de-stress, right? And you also gave you an opportunity too. For me, I was blessed because at that point in time, you could develop you. You could do things that interested you, right? Without having
the inner person.
To find the inner person who you are, right? So, that balance was very important. Just sending him off on the weekend. No, it came at a cost because him being away on the weekends meant that he himself wouldn't be able to develop the friends and do the things that normal kids would do on the weekends with their friends, right? So it did come at that cost, but you try to compensate with love, right? You try to compensate with when he is at home, you're just cramming so many things into those times that he's there. And I'm sure his dad did the same when he was with him too, right? To try to kind of compensate for him.